Hi, my name's John Miller. I'm the Managing Director of More Profit Less Time, and I'd like to take you through some really important basic fundamental principles that you'll hear me repeat again and again and again as you go through the Business Essentials program. I do this not to do anything else but to make sure that we imprint in your mind the importance of some of these principles. So let's start in the first instance. Really here at More Profit Less Time, one of the most important facets is that we're actually here to teach you how to fish. I'm sure you've already heard many times the old adage of if you give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man how to fish, you feed him for life. And at More Profit Less Time, that's exactly what we're all about. We're about teaching you or helping you to understand where to fish, how to fish, and what you should actually do when you're fishing for more profits inside your business. You need to understand that whilst you're going through the program, that you're going to be challenged at different times with principles which may in fact fly in the face of your traditions. So you need to be willing to have an open mind and be able to accept that change. And a big part of that is to accept the fact that you may need, in some areas of the business, to take massive action, to make massive change. I'm going to focus at different times on areas which will actually dissatisfy you within your business. And I'm doing that very deliberately. I want you to understand what you're doing well and what you are not doing quite so well that we need to look at improving on together. We'll also look at creating a vision out of that dissatisfaction to understand where you can go and take your business. Your business was usually only limited by you. I deal with business owners every day, all around the world. And the reality is the major variant between any business within any industry is usually held within the real estate between the business owner's ears. We'll then look at some very simple first steps and what you can do to take those principles forward. And all of those things combined have to exceed the level of resistance that you have to make those changes within your business. We'll look at things like how your identity is actually developed. And we call that the identity iceberg. And that your actions, behaviour, and the decisions, which is what everybody else gets to see, like an iceberg, just the very tip, comes out of the skills, the beliefs, the values, and the integrity that you have and that you hold within your business. And all of that is wrapped up in the environment by which you create those things. So most of the people actually won't take those changes and take those steps because of fear. And fear is a very simple acronym. Fear stands for false expectations appearing real. So I'm going to help to try and shatter some of those things and to make sure that you can overcome those fears. Don't let fear hold you back. It's better by far than to try and fail than to never have tried at all. So make sure we actually do it. One of the things I'll do is I'll be highlighting as we go throughout the program, each and every session, some attitudes that are probably holding you back or maybe holding back those that you know who are actually going through the attitude of self-sabotage. They don't self-sabotage consciously. It's really done subconsciously. And we've seen people win the lotto and within years they've gone back to being back into a state of poverty again. It's because they don't understand any difference. They've got their fear and their beliefs. Remember we talked about the identity iceberg, holding them back and what they're actually doing. As we go through life, we actually pass a number of signposts to let us know that we're on our way to achieve our end goal within our journey. And along that way, we'll actually have some taps along the way. We have some nudges that push us back onto the path. And we need to be able to actually understand that and understand that those taps that we receive are just like we did when we were learning how to walk. That we learned how to walk by constantly falling down. That we learned how to ride our bicycles when we actually fell off our bikes. And this is just the same within business, within life, within sales, within creating wealth within your business. So we need to make sure we're aware of that. One of the really important philosophies that I want you to take through every single session throughout the Business Essentials series is to actually understand how learning occurs. You need to make sure that you're engaging both the left and the right-hand side of your brain. The left-hand side of your brain really does deal with the more logical, reasoning, constructed portions of your brain. The right-hand side of your brain looks after the creativity and your imagination and enabling you to be able to tie those both portions of your brain together. So while you're going through this, I really want you to make sure that you're not just sitting there writing in the same colour ballpoint pen, that you use different types of writing instruments with different colours and with different textures and the way that they feel in your hand. Now, I know this is like almost asking you to go back to being in primary school or into playgroup again. But the reality is, if you write different things, as different things come up, one moment you're using a pen, next minute you're using a felt nib pen, then a texter, then a crayon, and mixing up all of those different colours, you'll then work very, very hard at ensuring that everything then becomes memorable. Because it's when things become memorable that we can recall them and apply them within our business. Even though you're sitting there on the other side of the screen, don't feel afraid to call out the answers and to verbalise those things. It may feel a little bit silly at first, but the reality is if you engage in the process, you'll get a lot more out of it. And often by articulating or verbalising what you would have said in a live environment, you'll actually hear what you've just said, and again, it will help imprint that knowledge and make it far more memorable. At different times, you'll actually feel stages of confusion. I'm really not quite sure where John's going. I'm really not quite sure how this applies to me and my business. But ultimately, drive through that confusion and process, because ultimately, the only failure that you will ever have is your failure to participate in this program and to actively participate with the knowledge and tools that we will help you to achieve within your business. Once you've done that, I need to make sure that you accept what you're actually doing and how you do it. It's all about taking personal responsibility, being a victor rather than a victim. And part of that is making sure that, and I'll refer to it at different times, being above and below the line. And this, when I learned it, was a very, very powerful thing, and a part that I actually apply to all my businesses, my business relationships, my personal relationships, and my family. So I make sure that if I'm above the line, that I'm taking ownership on everything, even on things that I can't control, that I hold myself and others accountable at all times, and that I take full and complete responsibility in those things. If I act below the line, then realistically I'm just laying blame. I'm making excuses, and I'm probably living in denial. And that's why it's a victim. Unfortunately, society promulgates the idea of the victim mentality. How often do we watch current affair type programs? And one of the things that they do is they focus every single time on things that are outside people's control, and therefore they're the victims, or people who don't take that ownership and take responsibility for their own actions and allow themselves to be pulled into a situation or to allow something to occur, and then they blame everybody else. So live life well, live above the line. That just will change your whole psyche in your personal life and within your business. A really important part as we go through this as well is to make sure that you get the most out of the learning in this program by eliminating the words "I know" out of your vocabulary. Because when you say that "I know" and "I know everything" and "I know that" and "I know this," you're not actually allowing yourself the opportunity to grow and develop and learn something new. Now, you may in fact know some of the principles and many of the principles that we go through, but I want you to be open and aware of those things and make sure that you take "I know" right out of your vocabulary. You really may need to make sure that you're going to have some fun. Now, I'm going to ask you at different times to be engaged in different activities, write things down. Hopefully, if you've got somebody there that you can share this experience with, make sure that you have some fun and engage, because ultimately, games are a reflection of life. And your business is quite often a reflection of the life that you choose to live. So if you have some fun and inject some humour and really enjoy life, you'll find that you'll enjoy your business and you'll get far more out of it. It'll also translate across to your personal areas. A really important principle to understand is that when you go through this program, you'll have what we call BFOs, or a blinding flash of the obvious. They're the times when you're struck with a thunderbolt and it's a case of, oh man, I forgot about that, or gee, that is a principle that really, really resonates with me. When you have those BFOs and you make sure that they strike a chord within you, I really want you to take the time to hit pause and write those notes in multiple colours and multiple textures within the workbooks that we provide you. I really want you to do that because then you can come back to it and recall it. Because it's those blinding flashes of the obvious that are going to allow you to achieve the greatest outcome out of every single program. I challenge you to watch the programs again and again and again, because I know that you'll find different things that you'll have a BFO about that you missed at different times before. And the reason you'll see different things, and you'll notice that if you read a book multiple times, you'll pick it up and think, oh wow, I can't remember reading that part of the chapter. And that's because of your reticular activating system, or what I like to call your RAS. And this is the compass for your brain. And it depends on how your compass is centered as you're watching the program, as you're going through and using the program within your business, that will determine what you focus on most. That compass within the brain will swing into an area which will allow you at different times to gain different things from the same information. So make sure that you've switched your reticular activating system, or your RAS, to make sure you receive a truly positive outcome. An example of that is, how often do you see somebody who goes into a car park and they go in there with the attitude, and they may even say it, of, oh look, I never find a car park. And funnily enough, they never do. If they went in there with the attitude of, oh look, I find a car park every single time, you'll actually find it. An example that my wife constantly ribs me about is, my RAS is not actually set up to look inside the pantry really well. I'll be standing there looking at something, well honey, where's the salt? And it's sitting right in front of me. We actually know that it's domestic blindness, but the reality is I hadn't set my RAS, or reticular activating system, to help guide me through those processes. So as we go through the program, keep those simple fundamentals. I'll repeat them time and time again. Again, I'm John Miller. I'm the Managing Director of More Profit Less Time, and I really look forward to taking this journey with you.